Hey, it's the Randy Karraker Show, and it is presented by our friends at DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Great to be with you on STL Sports Central. The one, the only Matthew Rocchio, Randy Karraker with you, and a lot of stuff to cover. You're in a dancing mood. You know the little gerbils that dance in the Kia commercials?
Man, we haven't seen them in a few years.
Yeah, but that's exactly what you were dancing like.
I'll take that. They had some moves.
Oh, they did. And apparently those were... Remember when Michelle Wee was a thing, and she remember the Kia Soul commercials? That ugly little car.
Oh yeah, it was not a good looking car.
It was not. No,
I was more of a Honda Element kind of guy.
Same thing.
That's the joke. Thanks for the laugh.
All right. Brendan Donovan is going to be a topic of conversation throughout the course of the next week. The baseball winter meetings.
I think it's safe to say until the day he gets traded or it's opening day.
Yeah,
Brendan Donovan's going to be a topic of conversation.
Right, STL Sports Central. Let's make it a commitment to mention that name every single day.
We're doing a good job so far.
Yeah.
It's like an advent calendar.
So,
and right now we're burning through it, baby. Chocolate every day.
Okay, so a couple of things. Let's start with this. Well, let's start with the Mariners because they apparently are going to let Jorge Polanco walk, and they could use a second baseman, or with the imminent apparent departure of Eugenio Suarez, they could probably use a third baseman too. That would be a really good fit for a team. Donovan would be a good fit for a couple of reasons. Number one, they could use a versatile player like that, and number two, they could use a top of the order bat like he provides. I think that would be, and by the way, they're a good match for the Cardinals again for a couple of reasons. They're loaded with young starting pitching, either established at the major league level or having several guys that, as Chaim Bloom said, they could warehouse at AAA. And the Cardinals know them because they have a director of pitching who is in the Mariners organization for many years.
So the great thing about what we're doing here at STL Sports Central is if you go back, we have two different shows where me and Randy went through why the Royals conceivably make a fair amount of sense. I'm not calling it the RKS test for the Donnie trade destinations. A lot of people have talked about the Mariners. In fact, you can go back to STL Sports Central today after you watch this video, and you can watch Joe Roderick and the great Brendan Schaefer break down why the Mariners make so much sense. And then we're going to give you a couple other teams that we think, and we're going to go through a couple other teams, not that we think necessarily, but we're going to go through a couple other teams and see, do they pass the RKS test to making sense as a Donovan destination? Or do they have the organizational pitching to potentially give you a starter for this year and in the future? Do they have the farm system to give you a high-end player that you need to get when you do have one of the most valuable trade pieces that actually is going to get moved in Major League Baseball? That's the test we're seeing if these teams pass. It seems so far that the Royals passed to a point. The Mariners, based on what I heard from Joe Roderick and Brent Schaefer today, again, you can hear that on STL Sports Central, they passed that test to Randy's point as well, and we're going to see a couple other teams.
So by the way, let's knock one team off of that list, and that would be the Doyers, who are bringing back Miguel Rojas. He's going to play his final season in a Dodger uniform. They already have Tommy Edman at second. They already have Hyesung Kim to play second. Mookie Betts obviously has moved over to short, so Kim isn't going to play short. Edman's not going to play short for them. So with the return of Miguel Rojas, I'm thinking that the Dodgers are pretty well set on the middle infield for 2026, and that they probably will not be in the market for Brendan Donovan.
No, not at all. But they do, but prior to those moves, they had all the elements of what we were probably going to look for of how you pass this test, which is, do you have a need for a middle infielder or a versatile player who can play both middle infield and outfield? By the way, every team in baseball passed that test. Because if the team with the deepest roster passes that test, you damn well bet every other team in baseball does. That's another one. Do you have money to spend? We know the Dodgers passed that test, but not every team in the third category passes that test, Randy, which is you're a contending team and you want to make a move like this. Dodgers pass all three of those pieces of the test. Not every contending team does.
And I would think now the Dodgers probably don't, because they just don't have that need anymore. I don't think the need is significant enough for them to give up a major league pitcher and a minor league pitcher. Let me put it that way. I would think that Seattle is going to have that sort of a need. I think that Kansas City is fair to think of as a team that has that kind of a need. Be interesting to see what the Reds do. If the Reds are going to get Kyle Schwarber, then they don't need a left-handed hitting leadoff hitter, right? Because
Exactly.
he's a pretty good left-handed hitting leadoff hitter.
And to the point when I mentioned payroll, the Dodgers could add a lot of money, and that's actually, it's kind of like a reverse thing. Just to kind of explain this word problem a little bit, because it's a reverse thing. The Royals make sense because they don't ever want to add a ton of money, so adding a guy who's only arbitration eligible makes a lot of sense for them. The Yankees are apparently paupers now. Makes a lot of sense. Instead of to go for a big name guy like Eugenio Suarez, it makes sense for the Yankees to go for a cheaper guy like Brendan Donovan.
But the question there would be, and I get that Brendan Donovan is extremely versatile, but they made the trade for Ryan McMahon. They still have him. They've got their shortstop, even though a lot of people don't like Volpe. He's good. They've got their second baseman in Jazz Chisholm. So where are they going? Their best prospect, Dominguez, is in left. They've got a center fielder in Trent Grisham. They've got a pretty good right fielder. That's the MVP. And they've got a DH in Stanton. So in terms of their starting nine, the Yankees are pretty well set.
And they have Rice taking over at first base for Paul Goldschmidt. Yeah. I do want to think it is awesome that the Yankees find a shortstop, and they go, you know what, he just fits so perfectly. And they're like, we got Derek Jeter, and I'm like, we got an Italian. We're not going to move him away from shortstop. For the Yankees, now we have an Italian playing shortstop. If we can make it work, we're going to make that work.
Right.
I think it works because they're a team that wants to improve their roster, but don't want to add a ton of money. And the point is that Brendan Donovan can fit the Yankees.
See, and I think
they
the best
can
way for
add.
them, they lost Devin Williams. I still think that their spot, they should get Garrett Cole back. So you add Cole to Max Fried and Rodon, who bounced back. Starting pitching should be okay. The kid pitched well, Wade Weaver, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I think it was WW. Whatever, but they need to fix.
I want to say Wade Wilson so bad right now. I know I'm wrong.
The old quarterback,
I can't.
Vikings and
wow, we have different 2025 brains. Will Warren.
There you go. WW. So anyway, I think they're set in the rotation. I think they're set with their lineup. I think they could use a less expensive utility guy.
He's not going to be expensive, and that's my thing, is that he fits only in that a winning team's going to want him. He would improve their roster, even though they have a lot of players, to your point, that long term they've already put in time into, and they want to play those guys. But if we're just going for strict a winning team that would want to add him, the Yankees would want to. And the point is that you can find a place to fit him into the roster.
But the thing is,
it's not a perfect fit,
you need to get him. If you're going to give up the assets, the Cardinals have to be blown away,
and that's why we got to
trade him.
Yep, we got to move through the test.
Yeah, if you're going to blow a team away to get a player, that team's got to have a position, or that player's got to have a position, and he's got to get 500, 550 at best. I'm thinking more along the lines of, not that he's playing now, but a latter-day version of Miguel Cairo for the Yankees, not a guy that is projected. I mean, the guy has won a gold. Granted, he won a Gold Glove as a utility player, but he's a Gold Glove quality player. And so I just think that a team like Seattle would be so much better of a fit. Again, because they have the openings at what you would think both second and third. Their starting pitching, they've got multiple starting pitchers at the major league level and multiple prospects at the minor league level.
That's where I fail the Yankees. It's not necessarily like, yes, obviously, like I said, any team could use them. The question comes with the Yankees of when you get to what do they offer the Cardinals? Do they blow away the Cardinals? I don't see them having a major league pitcher that they're willing to part with, considering, to your point, they need depth. If there's somebody in their if there's a 25-year-old on their roster who came in, who did 30 games relief last year and 8 games who started, they don't want to give him up, because to your point, they need that depth on the back end right now. And the Yankees, they have some good. The Yankees fail this test is that they don't bring enough, considering the fact that he would just be a super utility player. He'd be a final puzzle piece. You need to get a team who's buying into Brendan Donovan for more than that to get the haul you want, and the Yankees just don't pass that muster.
All right, so let's eliminate the Yankees and the Dodgers.
I'm with that.
Okay, and then we already have Seattle in there. We already have Kansas City in there.
Again, if you guys want to hear really good, lengthy arguments about the Mariners, watch today's Cards Central 365 right here on STL Sports Central. Brendan Schaefer and Joe Roderick did a fantastic job breaking down the Mariners and Donovan potential deals.
Sounds good. Okay, so who are the other teams that would have interest in Brendan Donovan? I would think the Tigers would. to play third base. But again, do they have the pitching necessary to make a trade? They're talking about maybe you could get Scooble for him.
No, Randy,
No? Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Damn it to hell.
I won't do that. So Pittsburgh and Miami are both interested in spending a little bit more money this offseason. There will be other second basemen on the market. I just I don't think the Giants will make that move. So
let's stop there and let's hit the brakes here and stop at this little bodega.
Okay.
The Giants, is it the same thing with the Yankees where the lineup need that he fills doesn't move enough, isn't a big enough thing where they then blow away the Cardinals? Is it the same? Is it a similar kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And again, they need to go out and get starting pitching. They aren't in a position to move starting pitching.
They
Even though
like...
they have Gilbert, they have Ray, who had a great year, or Logan Gilbert, Logan Webb. What's the difference? No, Logan Webb and Ray at the top of their rotation. They have some pretty good youth there. But again, if you're the Giants and you have assets, I think those assets, especially with the way they got rid of their top 3 relievers at the deadline last year, I would think that they would want to spend their assets to rebuild their bullpen.
Yep, that's another one where they're putting Rafael Devers in the actual lineup. The Yastrzemski's out, and Tyler Fitzgerald, their second baseman last year, had a really good season 2 years ago, but he had a really bad year last year. So it's like, for the Giants, it's like, are they willing to just completely bail out on a 27-year-old who was like a 2.4 WAR second baseman just 2 years ago? If they are, then yeah, they're right there in the Donovan sweepstakes, because again, they have an open outfield spot. Hell, they could probably move somebody to DH after or move other players around, because Wilmer Flores is getting a little old. He's probably got some more years in him and things like that. So there's ways you can move it around, but it's to your point. It's like, do they have the pitching? And if they do have the pitching, are they willing to give it up at this point for Brendan Donovan for this lineup? I just don't see it with the Giants. It's one where you can make it work, but it's not the perfect fit that is really going to make this deal happen.
Okay, so let's go back to the team that we initially talked about, the Seattle Mariners.
Let's do it.
What is intriguing about the Mariners? First of all, they do have really good starting pitching. You'd want to get a young guy. They aren't moving Brian Wu, a guy like Gilbert, so close to, let's see, he is at, he's arbitration eligible in 26, free agent in 28.
Yeah.
So do the Cardinals go for a 28-year-old that is going to, and with the Mariners, who were so close to being in the World Series last year, would they move a guy like Gilbert? Probably not.
I think
Kirby would probably be the guy that would intrigue the Cardinals the most if there are 5 starting pitchers that Seattle has that they think they can fit into their rotation.
Yeah, and that's why I just keep moving down the line a little bit more, and so like Emerson Hancock jumps out a little bit to me, because if you're the Mariners and you're trying to make a run to the World Series again next year, is the guy who's only pitched 90 innings, the most in his career. That was this past year across 16 starts. Do you want to, is your 5th starter going to be a guy that you have to like innings cap at 120? I know a lot of Major League Baseball teams do that. I just wonder if that's a guy that they go, listen, he's a great pitcher, but right now we have 6 starters, and that's one we're willing to give up to make this move happen. Like and that's why the Mariners really are an easy check mark on this one, because there's a lot of young pitchers. Are you able to get their big rookie from this past year, Logan Evans, went 6-5 with 15 starts? Probably not, but they have the young pitching. They have to make this happen, while also again needing that final puzzle piece that maybe unlocks everything and allows them to win a couple more games and therefore take home a ring.
And if you're willing to roll the dice on Hancock becoming healthy, and the Cardinals have shown that they're willing to do that, obviously with the Brandon Clark acquisition. Hancock's a guy that's been a top 100 prospect. He's been as high as the 4th rated prospect by several outlets for the Mariners. He's got 4 pitches. He's definitely a starting pitcher. He's only 26. I think that's a guy, if you are the Cardinals, that you hope that your performance crew can get him straightened out and get him to where he can max out his talent. He is only 26, turns 27 in May, 6'4". He's a right-hander, so he doesn't really fit that. But he's a guy that the Cardinals, if they got him, I'm sure that Chaim Bloom would say we can tweak his pitches and his pitching development and turn him into a pretty good pitcher. So maybe a guy like that is somebody that the Cardinals would be interested in, along with somebody who right now fits in as a top prospect by Seattle. He was Hancock has a few years left, plenty of control left.
31, I think, was this free agency year. Did I see that?
That's right.
Am I wrong?
Yep.
Yeah, 31.
Yeah, so he's only got 1 year of service time in. So he'd be an interesting guy for the Cardinals. Emerson Hancock, keep that name
because you're not.
top
You're,
of mind.
you're. I don't think they're. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense for them right now with the glut of pitching they have right now. It makes sense for them to trade a guy like Hancock than it does for them to trade Cade Anderson, because you have Cade Anderson down the line for like the second grasp at a run when somebody like Raleigh gets too old, but you still have some of these young players developing. And that I know we threw that out as a joke. Or the Durangelo
Anderson was the third pick in the draft.
Exactly.
That's not a guy that they want to move right now.
Or even like Durangelo Ciente, the guy, if I'm saying the last name wrong, I apologize. The switch pitcher that we joked about a few days ago. That's a guy that, like, if you're winning, like, you just keep that wild card in your hand and say, yeah, maybe we have that. We bring him up in September and he's flipping fire. And all of a sudden we have something that no one has a book on for a playoff run. Why? Like, if you're a winning team, you don't give that up. That's just too much fun to have. Well, so if that's why I think they're perfect in that they have major league pitchers right now who have some potential, who they be willing to move because it keeps their roster intact and it makes them better overall for the runs they're going for right now.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if the Cardinals are able to get for Donovan what we think they should get, and if somebody's willing to blow them away. And maybe you can find that team that's willing to give up more than he's really worth so that he can be key cog for a winning team. Another note, by the way, that we should pass along to you is that the top prospect for the Mariners, Colt Emerson, has an ETA of 2026. He's a shortstop and third baseman. Yes. So maybe he fills the role of a Eugenio Suarez from last year. And maybe you do need a veteran presence like a Donovan to move in at second base.
Yeah, and their second baseman last year for a chunk of the season was Cole Young, who's a 21-year-old, and he struggled at the plate. Yeah. And so maybe that's a guy that they like long-term, but they say, listen, right now we can't afford to have a hole in our lineup. Let's go get Brendan Donovan for 2 years. And maybe there's a situation where Randy Arozarena in 2 years is out of favor. And
probably.
So then Donovan's playing in left field. And so that's why Donovan's versatility matters for a lot of these ways. One other thing to throw out, we already mentioned this team today, but I got him up on the top bar.
Let's put him in there.
And that's the Cleveland Guardians. We've mentioned them a lot. They fascinate me, Randy, because last year their 6 most common starters were all either in their age 25 or 26 season. Mm-hmm. Absolutely insane amount of young pitching. And then if you look at the lineup, and we talked about this yesterday, they can get away with it because they have a MVP caliber player in Jose Ramirez, but that lineup needs a lot of juice added to it. Brendan Donovan, relative to what the Guardians have right now, could be that juice. And not only do the Guardians have a lot of young players right now, but they have plenty of pitchers in their farm system as well. Cleveland Guardians make a lot of sense. And also, again, they don't like to add a lot of money, but you're not adding a lot of money in Brendan Donovan while you're getting an above-average player.
Here's the X factor, unfortunately, for Cleveland, is that they have to replace Clase and Ortiz.
Yeah,
they aren't going to be there, and their young pitching is probably going to be expedited in getting to the majors because they lost their closer and a guy that they counted on being a middle-of-the-rotation guy in Ortiz. So, and last year they traded, by the way, their second baseman, a high-priced second baseman, Andres Jimenez, to Toronto to get Ortiz. So I wonder if their approach this year will be to fix the offense or do what they've historically done and try to get their young pitching to the major leagues.
And to that point, their 20th ranked prospect is a 24-year-old, 6'4", 220-pound right-hander, Andrew Walters.
There we go.
Seems like he's a pretty good candidate to be a long relief pitcher for them this season. Their number 11 prospect, Parker Messick, is a left-handed pitcher, a little bit smaller, 6 foot, 225 pounds. He's 25 years old. Seems like he's probably going to be a relief candidate this year. But they do have two other pitchers in their top 10, including two righties who are not ETA'd until 2026 and 2028, and Cal Steffen and Braylon Dowdy. It might have been Cal Steven. My apologies.
So as far as the Indians are concerned, the Guardians are concerned,
there you go.
I wouldn't bet on it.
Oh, no. Randy. What about Joey Cantillo? That's one of the 25, 26-year-olds. They have a lot of young pitchers. Do they want to move them to up a bad lineup? One other factor that we also have to talk about is some of the teams that I'm pulling this list from is from Jeff Passan's piece about like the most tradable players. One of the most tradable players in this discussion, even higher than Brendan Donovan, was Cleveland Guardian Stephen Kwan. So if they trade Stephen Kwan before Donovan gets moved, or if they're trying to trade Stephen Kwan, how much are they actually willing to trade the future for the present? That's then kind of up in the air.
All right. Hey, we do want you to know about DraftKings being available to you if you're in the state of Missouri. And the moment is finally here. DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is live in Missouri, and you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, plus money lines and cool props and more, all from your phone and all safe, secure, and easy to use. And if you're a Missouri fan, you know the game and the game day, right? All the tailgates and noise and the energy that comes with it. And right now, if you're a Missouri customer, you can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action, powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code STL Sports. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. One single use odds boost per customer. Market boosted to plus 100 odds. Max bet $50. Expires at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, December 7th. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, let's touch on the Mets quickly because they're a team.
They do exist. They are a team.
And right now, I think they've got Jeff McNeil penciled in to play the outfield, but they've got Marcus Semien, so he's going to play second base, right? Lindor is going to play short. If Vientos is at first, maybe there's an opening at third, but they have Beatty at third, and they probably like Beatty a lot. And again, they just signed Devin Williams. I would think that if the Mets are going to utilize assets in the 2025-2026 offseason, they will utilize those assets to procure pitching, specifically starting pitching, since they went down the stretch last year with 3 rookies starting for them.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be a very Mets move to make, but it's not one that I think passes our test because it again, do they have the need? Again, everyone could find a way to get Brendan Donovan in their lineup. But again, we're doing this like the Giants and the Yankees, where it's like we have to make a couple assumptions about young players. We have to, just assume they don't want to keep, Brett Beatty was pretty good last year.
He was.
3.1 is a WAR as a 25-year-old third baseman. You don't want to screw with that. I guess you could maybe find something considering how much of a hole they had in center field, but it's like Soto's not playing there. Nimmo's not playing there for a full season. So, I mean, they got their corner outfield is locked up in, the biggest money parts of their entire, alongside Lindor. That's the majority of their payroll is their corner outfields in Lindor. So yeah, I don't see a spot in combination with, to your point, they have some young pitchers, but why would they give them up considering how stretched out they are at this point?
All right, let's get to you guys and Deadly St. Louis. Chaim has built the #1 farm system in all of baseball in a year. I'd say only players we are going to see is those guys for 3 to 4 years. No free agents, no trades. I would disagree on trades. And there will not be, I think we can safely say for a while, high-priced free agents. You'll have the Phil Matons of the world that show up. But I think to your overall point, are they going to trade for a hitter or a pitcher right now that is a $22 million guy? No, they're going to find out about their kids. And then once they know about the kids and who can play, who can't, who can win, who can't, I think that, Matthew, is when the Cardinals make a trade or a free agent signing to supplement their youngsters rather than be the core.
Yeah, like this, just saying there's going to be no free agents and no trades is just a ridiculous statement. I mean, you might not like them, you might not consider them hefty moves, but even last year when they were making no moves, they still made a move for Phil Maton. And also at the same time, it's like even if this team sucks, there's just no way there could be less winter movement than there has been 3 out of the last 4 years.
Yeah, there could.
I don't know how. There was literally 2 seasons where they made 1 move.
Well, not very good.
No, it's not. It was fairly boring.
Yeah.
And frustrating.
Yeah, it is. Ellipsis 150. Could the Guardians get a few compensation picks for losing both Clase and Ortiz?
Yeah.
The organization got screwed because of the actions of those 2 individuals. That's a great question. I don't know. I think baseball can. I remember one time Theo Epstein said the Cardinals got their compensation pick because they're the Cardinals. He was the Mets Pobo at the time and was offended that the Cardinals always got compensation picks and he didn't know why. So I would think that if Rob Manfred or his minions in the Major League front office wanted to provide the Guardians with a couple of compensation picks, they could. Now, did the Cardinals get a compensation pick when Oscar Taveras died? No. So I think you have to pick and choose your spots for those compensation picks.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, and again, but I mean, giving compensation picks in Major League Baseball, I mean, what does that matter? That's a 5-year that's a 5-year time bomb you're dealing with if you're lucky.
Yep. How about Henry Wells? Thank you, Randy, for vouching for the fact that the title "Best Fans in Baseball" was not brought on by Cardinal fans. National figures have given St. Louis Cardinals Best Fans in Baseball title. Yeah, that's exactly right. I think anybody who's paid attention over the years knows that.
Do people not change? Do fan bases not change? Do generations not shift?
What about like Packers fans? Do they change?
They do, but I'd argue they've stayed pretty. They've just been able to stay pretty consistent.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
but I mean, even to your point, I mean, you yourself, said that Cardinals fans were spoiled.
Entitled. There's a difference.
Sorry,
between
you're right. My apologies.
Spoiled and entitled
my
are
apologies.
different. And that is not the fault of Cardinal fans. Somebody your age, somebody Wilson's age.
No, because we were told that growing up. We were told by not by national figures. We were told in our homes that that the Cardinals fans are the best fans of baseball.
And not only that, but the team was always good.
Always.
So throughout your lifetime, the team has always been good. So
if they weren't good, they were national news. Because again, they weren't good in the 90s. I didn't care because I was being raised on the stories of Ozzie Smith, and then I was watching Mark McGwire. And then as soon as I started paying attention to what was happening, by then they were duking it out in the NLDS with the Astros every year, and it was incredible baseball. Theater.
There you go. And so if you have that belief, because the Cardinals have always won in your lifetime, that you believe that they should win, that's not an irresponsible expectation because they have provided that to you in the past. You should expect them to win. Now, does that remove some of the joy from winning? Yes. But when you're entitled, it's because you've gotten something and now you aren't getting it anymore. And that is an entitlement. And we hear that word a lot. And that's exactly what's happened with a lot of Cardinal fans. There's nothing wrong. And I think that's the perception. People think that I'm calling them names.
No.
Saying that they feel entitled to having the Cardinals win every year. And that's not what I'm saying at all. If you grew up with that expectation, then what else are you supposed to expect, right? If every year of your life the Cardinals have contended, or if you've been alive for 25 years and until 2022, the Cardinals competed or were in the hunt until the last day of the season, pretty much every year except for one, I think that you should feel entitled. I felt entitled to losing with the St. Louis Rams. If I was really upset when they threatened to win a division in 2010.
I had different thoughts about that. Thank you very much to Mike, who joined the YouTube as a member. You guys can do that as well. Just make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you always know when we're going to go live. You can always be locked in for all of our post-game shows and wherever we're dropping new content from Randy Karraker, Bernie Miklas, Brendan Schaefer, so on and so forth.
All right. Love to have that. Mike, thank you very much for joining up. Let's see. What do we got next year? Going from Ozzie to McGwire to Pujols to Yachty was pretty insane. Yes, yep. The Cardinals and Bernie and I are going to talk about this in a video that drops tomorrow, and you can see the whole video if you become an STL Sports Central insider, but from the last time the Cardinals didn't have a Hall of Famer on their roster, 1909, until now, they've always had a guy on their roster. And you talk about going from Ozzie to McGuire to Pujols to Yachty. Well, for me as a kid, I go from Gibson and Brock and Simmons, all Hall of Famers. And then you get Bruce Sutter in there, and you get, as we mentioned, Ozzie Smith in there, and Whitey Herzog in there as somebody who was in uniform down on the field. From 1910 until probably through last year with Arenado, the Cardinals will have had a Hall of Famer in uniform. And that's insane when you think about the number of times the Cardinals have been able to procure the services of a Hall of Fame person or player. It's incredible. And
I got to work on it.
I'm proud. I'm a proud BFIB. I'm a proud best fan in baseball.
Man, I tell you, sometimes you do. I mean, obviously, you always kind of grow up in a little bit of bubble. And I tell you what, I grew up my entire life, obviously in St. Louis, saying that phrase, having no problem with that phrase. I remember getting to college, and the first time I ever
Royals fans.
Oh my God! I made the mistake of uttering and calling the Cardinals the best fans in baseball in front of a Royals fan, and it was like something in the room changed, and all of a sudden like something snapped in the space-time continuum, and the room got super uncomfortable, extremely fast, and I was like, I don't know what just happened here. And that Kansas City Royals fan was not a happy person, and they let me know about their disdain for the Cardinals in that phrase. And I didn't agree with anything they said, but perspective at 18 years old when you go to college is an important part of going to college. And I tell you what, I got slapped in the face that day with it.
And it was interesting because in 2014 and 15, when the Royals started winning and people started showing up, and I went to a few games in each of those years, they thought they were the best fans in baseball because they started showing up when the team was winning.
That's not really how it works, no.
No, it's not. And I remember, by the way, in 1985, during the World Series, the St. Louis Cardinals were playing the Royals in the World Series, and the Los Angeles Rams were playing the Chiefs at Arrowhead on that parking lot during the day. And pretty much every Cardinal fan that was in town, and there were a lot of us, just walked across the parking lot, bought tickets right at the window, and were able to go into a game where maybe there were 40,000 fans in a half-filled Arrowhead Stadium for a Chiefs game. So I'm not so sure that the Chiefs fans are the best in football either. Just saying.
So I'm having some fun with some of the chatters here because Bloom said, because Aaron Dobson, who is one of our local trolls, says if Bloom is so good, he should have made 3 more deals since moving gray. My response to that was, I've never really understood the allure of trolling. Can you care to break it down for me, please, Aaron? And then I said, you wanting 3? He said, I'm not trolling. I just want more from Chaim. My comment to that was, you want the moon if you want 3 trades in the offseason when the rest of the league hasn't even made 3 total trades. Yeah, it's just the expectations are just a little bit low. Listen, I'm not saying having high expectations for the Cardinals is unrealistic. I'm saying expecting Chaim Bloom to be able to rework the Cardinals' entire roster before the winter meetings is being unrealistic.
Yeah,
you are asking for the moon, which, by the way, it's Christmas. Watch It's a Wonderful Life if you're so inclined.
That's a fun little move.
Yeah, for some people.
It is. But you don't like Clarence?
It's for some people. I love.
You like Mr. Gower.
I love Clarence.
You were hoping Mr. Gower succeeded, weren't you?
No, I've never been a big banker guy. You know that.
Oh no, that's not Mr. Gower.
Mr.
Gower is the druggist.
My apologies.
Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter is the banker. My apologies. I don't watch it every year. I get a little off kilter on my It's a Wonderful Life references. But I had one.
Okay.
Delhi St. Louis says, if they want the moon from us, why should we expect the moon from them? They don't. They're not charging you an outrageous ticket price. I know you just said that that the prices for that and for the FanDuel broadcasting are outrageous. I mean, fair market price are fair market prices outrageous to you? Is everything in the world outpriced to you? Because the Cardinals are fairly evenly priced ticket, in my opinion. Every single game you can pretty much walk up to the window and find a ticket for under $25. But I know some people don't like that. They complain about parking and things like that as well, but what have you.
Parking has gotten expensive at the ballpark. I will grant people who say that.
I love the nice little light rail train pulls up 10 feet away from the opening of the park.
Enrico Palazzo.
Palazzo.
It is a full moon tonight.
Ooh.
Mr. Potter.
Ellipsis 150 on top of it with the Mr. Potter reference. Nicely done. You guys are on me right now. Boye says 5 to 6 years ago when the Phillies were bad, they averaged 15,000 a night.
Mike Shannon always told me when the Phillies were really bad, and this would have been, before they got rolling, I guess, in the 90s. He said, if they start playing well, that this place will be rocking and it'll be the best baseball town in America. And their atmosphere now at the bank, right, at Citizens Bank Ballpark, their atmosphere now is probably the best in baseball on a night-to-night basis. And I think their fans that come up with their cool fan clubs are really, remember Randy Wolf and the Wolf Pack, stuff like that. They have so many cool fan clubs in Philly. I think that's a great fan base.
One thing, I don't like using fluctuating attendance relative to the competitiveness of your team as a mark for plus or minus fandom, because that's the one way, if your team sucks, that you can voice your displeasure is with your wallet. And so like I remember, and I'll be honest, I was ignorant of this and I had a different opinion, and maybe I'm being ignorant now because of my personal experiences over influencing me. But I believe how rough it was to be a Rams fan and have the entire national media use the attendance against us, knowing that as a person who I was going to go to every game I possibly could, but understanding completely people out there that were going, why would I give my money to this product? And so I think I've just moved past using attendance as the first barometer of whether or not a fan base is appropriately passionate or not. Because I feel like not going also shows a level of passion as well. I'm not just saying Phillies fans here, but let's just use this example because we're talking about them. I bet you there was a lot of Phillies diehards who are there now, who are part of the 40,000 there now, or however how many Citizens Bank holds. I assume it's around 40,000. Who weren't part of the 15,000 7 or 8 years ago, who would have liked to be, but whether for their financial situation, didn't think that the Phillies deserved their money. And that doesn't mean they weren't diehard fans. And I think that's a slippery slope. And again, being a Rams fan and what happened to us, I got a very good perspective that completely changed my opinion on using attendance as kind of that cudgel.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that in addition to the team, just the lack of communication by the owner and the consistent lying by the president or the VP or whatever he was, I think there's a lot that went into that caused people to not want to go to Rams games, in addition to the fact that the team was bad.
I love this from one Ray L. Jr. Fans and customers are not always the same thing. That, my friend, is a fantastic line there. That is a very good point. You summed up the argument perfectly. Thank you, sir.
By the way, the Cardinal TV ratings were up in 2025, even though the attendance was bad.
Because people want to watch the Cardinals.
Yeah, they aren't that pathetic.
And paying for a TV service is a little bit of a different, less direct thing than paying for a ticket, to a game. Paying for a TV service to watch the team, you don't feel like you're supporting the team, even though by some crazy fluctuation of the math you are because of the TV deals and how everyone works together. Yeah, you are kind of supporting the team. But I think is a great example for the Cardinals as to why fans and customers are different. There were a lot of fans who were not customers of the Cardinals because they didn't want to be customers of the Cardinals, but they can't help themselves being fans.
That's fair enough. All right. Before we go, we do need to talk a little bit about the college football playoff, because there's only one more college football playoff ranking, and that'll be on Sunday after the conference championship games, which will be awesome. On Friday night, you've got the Big Ten, which will be awesome with Ohio State and Indiana. So who's the bigger jerk between Cignetti and Ryan Day?
Why are they jerks?
Well, Ryan Day is he's an Ohio State jerk.
Charlie Marlowe, stand up.
Charlie Marlowe wants him fired.
Not anymore. They want to know they won. Remember, and they beat Michigan this year, so he's fine with them.
Oh, okay. So, but what happens if you fire him though? But then you don't have him.
Well,
you're happy, right?
Well, we're not living in that reality, are we?
Oh, so we aren't living in reality. Then,
oh, okay. That too.
Okay. But then Signetti is,
I can't help it.
Well, you know what?
Signetti is again. We'll talk about reality. Somewhere there are Mizzou fans who have built shrines to a different version where Gary Pinkel beats Oklahoma in 2007. Missouri wins the national champion, and that man is a god in the state of Missouri, even more so than he already is.
Gary Pinkel ever go on a national TV show before playing in a playoff game and say, "We don't just beat ranked teams, we clobber them," and then go out and get thumped?
No, it wasn't his style. That was not his. No. Well, no, because else there'd be a quote out there right before the Oklahoma game where he then gets stomped.
Yeah. So
does not exist. That's a very good point.
So anyway, but I like the teams, and I like a lot of people that are Indiana grads. So I'm cool with that. But there are a host of 10-2 teams that are not playing in their conference championship games. Some of them are that have an opportunity to make the playoff. I think that if Alabama beats Georgia, 5 SEC teams are in. I think it's easy for 5 SEC teams because Georgia's not going anywhere if Alabama wins. Yep. Alabama wins, they've only got 2 losses.
Yep.
Georgia's in with 2 losses.
Yep.
Oklahoma,
Texas
A&M, and Ole Miss.
Okay, so
they're 6th right now.
One of the things
dropping out.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, and that brings us to one of the really only pieces of news that happened yesterday, which was, or I guess it happened this morning actually, the reporting from Pete Thamel and company that Vanderbilt tried to schedule a game this weekend to show people what they are. They tried to take a shot. I love everything about it. The logistics couldn't work out. I do want to say, teams put together games in about 48 to 76 hours during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
This is, in my opinion, less logistics and more no one wanted to be the team that Vanderbilt showcased against. I think this is Vanderbilt had a couple teams who were willing to do it. They figured out the logistics. They finally went to go, let's do it. And one of the teams went, I mean, do we really want to end our season as being the team that Vanderbilt got to go, hey, look how good we are. I think something like they could have gotten this game together. Something tells me a team balks, not the time in the logistics.
Yeah, Miami's not playing that game.
No way they're letting themselves be that to Vandy. No way. But even would USC play that game? Because if USC, what if you're like USC and you slaughter Vandy, all of a sudden people are like, well, they are 11. They are technically 11-2 now. They just slaughtered the number 14 team. Why wouldn't the USC do it?
Well, USC's not going anywhere.
No, they're not. But I mean, they're 10-2. They're 10-2, and they're fifth. What are they ranked? 15th.
You take Vanderbilt's money. At least.
You take Vanderbilt's money at least. Then you look, and then
USC needs it.
Yeah, they need it. You're right. But I'm saying is, I'm trying to find why a team would be willing to do it. And that's why the real reason I think it went kaput. But my larger question gets to it. Without that game, is there any scenario in which Vanderbilt is in the college football playoff, despite the scenario being Donald Trump does something crazy? Not a 0% chance.
No. If they would have played an extra game, let's say they would have played because they didn't. Okay, so Texas beat Vanderbilt this year, so they wouldn't have wanted to play Texas again, right?
Also, I don't know if that matters if you look at the Miami Notre Dame stuff. Apparently, beating a team head to head doesn't convince the committee that you're a better team than them.
Well, see, that's one of the things. I don't disagree with the committee here. Anybody who thinks that the team on Labor Day is the same as the team on Thanksgiving, that's not the way it works.
Well,
every team changes. Every team fluctuates throughout the course of the season, gets better, gets worse.
You making an argument for Bama right now?
Well, if Alabama beats Georgia again, then they're in. Continue
this thought process as you didn't realize you were doing it. Boy, Bama's still in even if they lose. No, I don't think that's true.
No, Bama's
a 3-loss team, just by the numbers. I think a 3-loss team, even a 3-loss Bama, I think gets the boot.
Notre Dame and Miami are rooting hard for Georgia this weekend. And if BYU would beat Texas Tech, I think BYU would have an opportunity. They would definitely be ahead of Alabama. No, Bama's not getting in with 3 losses.
And honestly, that would be a BYU team winning and then getting left out for a 3-loss Bama would be the ultimate proof that there is a clear SEC bias and a clear hatred towards the Big 12. It would be the ultimate irrefutable proof, which is why it wouldn't surprise me if the committee actually did it, because they have no self-awareness.
I wonder how much they really care about
the
number of
they don't give a
teams from a conference.
Well, they might. They might care about that. I thought you were going to say if they care about what people think of them.
I don't think they care about that, but I don't think that they. For example, I can tell you pretty definitively the SEC is better than the Big 12. I don't think there's any question about that. So, and I think you can use your eye test and you can say, okay, well, what would happen if Alabama played BYU on a neutral site? I think I would take Alabama in that game. And they have more metrics than I do. They have a better knowledge of what's transpired, strength of schedule, and all that stuff. That being said, if Alabama has 3 losses and somebody else has 1, then it really is unfair to put, even if Alabama lost tough games, and they would have had lost to Georgia, they had the loss to Florida State, they lost to Oklahoma. Those would be the 3 losses. Yeah, I still couldn't put them in. And when you look at the Notre Dame schedule, and I know there's a lot of Notre Dame fans out there, but you lose your first 2 to 2 of the best teams in the country in Miami and A&M. The teams that you beat are Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, North Carolina State. You did beat USC by 10, Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford. That is not exactly a gauntlet that you're running through if you're Notre Dame. So I can understand why Miami would be ticked off and why teams that also have 2 losses that are behind or even with Notre Dame would feel jilted. I think Vanderbilt's a better team than Notre Dame.
Really? Okay. Interesting. You think Vanderbilt's a better team than Notre Dame?
Yeah.
All right.
10-2 versus 10-2. Notre Dame has played really well, although they did try to, the other night when they beat Stanford, they were throwing in the fourth quarter up by 3 touchdowns. I don't know why they needed to do that. I think they're trying, it was really late at night, early in the morning here. And I think they were just trying to put points on the board to make it look like they were actually better than they really were.
Boy says they didn't drop SMU last year when they lost in their conference championship game. That was SMU's second loss of the season. This would be Alabama's third.
Yeah.
And again, if one of the 3 Alabama losses is
it's Florida State.
Well, no, I'm saying if one of their losses though was I'm trying to find, I'm looking at their schedule right now. If one of their losses, they did lose to Oklahoma. I'm saying conceivably if one of their losses would have been Missouri instead of Florida State.
Yeah.
Is this different? Does a 3-loss Alabama team where all 3 losses are SEC losses get treated differently than one that did drop Florida State right out of the gate?
I think there is
a bad Florida State,
just an inherent distaste on the part of the committee to put a 3-loss team in a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, that's fair. Boy says if Bama loses because they played a conference championship game, the SEC might blow the playoffs up. You were so close, because if this happens, you are 100% right. The SEC is going to set a stick of dynamite to an edifice of college football, but you missed which edifice that they will be blowing up. Because if it happens, the SEC will then be one of the lead people in blowing up the edifice that is conference championship games. It won't be the playoff they blow up. The SEC will all of a sudden become a very big proponent, probably not publicly behind the scenes, of getting rid of conference championship games. Because if it wasn't for conference championship games, Bama's in the playoff. So it's not about the playoff that's the problem. It's an extra game tacked on that no one knows how to measure anything. The only reason they might keep conference championship games is revenue, but there's another way to get that revenue from those games into other games into a playoff. So that's probably not the reason. I have a feeling if, to your point, Bama loses and then gets booted from the playoff, we get 3 more years of conference championship games.
Matthew, this is the easiest fix in the world. I don't know why.
Hit me with it.
They don't listen to me.
Okay. They're dumb.
So you start the season last weekend of August, right?
Yes.
You've got 13 weeks to play 12 games. This weekend, you start and next year you have a reconstituted Pac-12. So you're going to have 11 conferences. You start your 32-team tournament this weekend. Games 5th, 6th, maybe is 7th if you want. Go from 32 to 16. Mm-hmm. Following weekend of December 12th, you go from 16 to 8. The weekend after that, you go from 8 to 4. And then over Christmas weekend, you go to from 4 to 2. And then you still play your championship game on January 5th or January 12th, whenever you want. You have a 32-team tournament, 11 conference champions. If you win your conference, you're in the playoff. And then and Notre Dame, because they're going to make it, and then 20 at-large bids.
This question might be way too logical to matter to actual college football, but again, the semifinal and final teams. How many games are they playing on their season
17.
schedule? Jesus Christ.
Same as the regular season in the NFL. It's pro football.
Yeah, it is. It makes, and heck, if it's pro football, it's pro football. That's
and there's
fine.
only 2 teams playing 17.
And they're all I was saying your champion. The people playing in the final play 17. The semifinalists play 16.
Yep.
But then
everybody that gets eliminated this weekend or next weekend can play in a bowl game.
Plays a bowl game for To your point, you just added a bunch of games, and so all the revenue we just lost by getting rid of conference championship games, we just got it all back. That's one way to get it. To your point, I think something along like your plan, something alongside Eli Drinkwitz's plan, where he threw out.
By the way, last year Ohio State played 16.
Yeah, you're right. It's true. It's only one more.
Yep.
It's only one more.
Yeah, Notre Dame played 16 last year. Texas played 16 last year. Penn State played 16 last year. So. Adding one more, and you get 2 weeks off before that, or maybe even 3 before that game anyway. So,
Boy says you guys have no idea what you were talking about. Enlighten us, please.
Yeah, and
I'm left in the show. Enlighten us.
I will point out to you, sir, or ma'am, that
don't know what we said that was wrong.
The Division 2 and Division 3 tournaments are both 32-team tournaments.
I don't know. He said that a few minutes ago. I don't know if he's talking this about an extended tournament or if he's talking about my comments about how they'd want to blow up conference championship games. But I don't know why you think either one of those statements is crazy.
Okay, well,
literally, Eli Drinkwitz is presenting a plan. I don't remember his plan exactly, but he's presenting a plan that essentially utilizes all conference championships and things like that, or all conference champions getting spots and things like that. Like, again, I think any plan right now feels like something better than what they're doing right now.
Okay, you're Jimmy Pitaro.
I don't want to
I'm
be.
Greg Sankey. You want me to be Jimmy? No, you have to be Jimmy.
I'll be Greg Sankey.
Then you have to present the 32-team playoff to me with the elimination of the conference championship games.
Go ahead, you do that.
Okay, so Jimmy, so we in the SEC are pretty bothered by the fact that, just because Alabama played in our championship game, and I don't know, by the way, if Greg Sankey talks this way or not. I'm just being a Southerner. We are not happy that we had a championship game and one of our teams was penalized because they played in our SEC championship game. So what we are proposing is, rather than you pay $115 million for the SEC championship game,
I say
that we change our system of deciding a champion, and we build a 32-team playoff system rather than 12. Would you be willing, rather than $115 million for my championship game and $600 million for your 12-team tournament, to just give me $900 million for 5 weeks of playoff football?
Yes.
All right.
That sounds great. It sounds like I could get a lot of playoff teams.
We've solved our money problem.
It sounds like if I can get 12 out of 16 teams into the NCAA basketball tournament, I bet you I could get like 9 or 10 into this tournament. I think
if there are 20 at larges, Mizzou is a team.
Don't toy with my emotions right now. By the way, Drinkwitz's proposal was a 30-team college football playoff that included play-in games during the conference championship weekend to determine the final playoff spots. It would give the SEC, the Big Ten 4 bids, the ACC and the Big 12 3, plus at-large spots for a group of 5 teams. It would create more playoff opportunities for a large number of teams and fans, and remove preseason bias.
Why don't we just have a college football cup in the middle of the season like the NBA does then? I like my idea better.
Enrico Palazzo says Sankey is from New York State.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's the commissioner of the SEC. I'm completely okay with that impersonation.
Yeah, I think he was in charge, or no, it was the other guy that died.
Yes.
It was in charge of Conference USA.
Yes, you're right. Grant Salzman.
Mike Slive.
Grant Salzman says, what if you delay a week so that New Year's Day still has games?
Well, New Year's Day can still have games, but
I think playoff games.
Yeah.
I think Grant's question would be so it still has meaningful playoff games.
You don't worry about that.
A semifinal.
No, you get the bowls. You still get. So here's what you got. So the teams that aren't in the so you'll have had 4 teams play on Christmas weekend. Okay, so that means that you have 28 teams available, and so you can take theoretically your Big Ten and Pac-12 champions and play the Rose Bowl. You can take your Big 12 and SEC teams that aren't in the playoffs still and play them in the Orange Bowl. So you can do it. You can bring that tradition back. I think it'd be awesome.
I think in the next 3 to 4 years, we're looking at least 16 teams in the playoff.
No doubt.
And conference championships are maybe not a thing of the past, but they are definitely different than what they are now.
Yeah. What would Dr. Pepper give to have a 32-team playoff presented by Dr. Pepper?
One of their flavors, I think. They can go down to 22, you think?
Oh yeah.
They could make the drink with 22 flavors.
They can do that. Yep.
Come on.
As always, 0 sugar and
They
0.
don't need all 23. Come on. You guys are the drink of college football. Make a sacrifice for the sport.
This has been fun. Don't forget to sign up to be St. Louis STL Sports Central Insider. Bernie and I will drop tomorrow morning. And if you're an insider, you can watch the entire video. We love that you're a part of it. You can also read all of Bernie's work. He's got the Bernie Bits, which are back
The best.
as part of the Insider. So that's pretty cool. And tomorrow, we're going to talk to Kareem Rush and Brandon Rush. I think Rennie Knott is going to talk a little bit, right? He's going to come in. And so, we've got quite a day of podcasting for you here tomorrow and this weekend on STL Sports Central.
If you're a Mizzou fan, if you're a Kansas fan for some reason, you can tweet at me at ROCCSTL, or you can tweet at Randy Karraker on the Twitter. Let us know if you have any specific questions you'd like us to ask the Rush brothers as we do a little in-house MUKU rivalry between Brandon Rush, who was a Jayhawk, and of course Kareem Rush, one of the best Tigers to ever lace them up.
The Flash apparently official. Billy Napier is finalizing a 5-year deal to become the next head coach at James Madison. This, according to Pete Thamel. A formal announcement is expected on Saturday. Napier, of course, a former coach at Louisiana and at Florida. So there you go. Billy Napier is going to be at JMU. So in 2 years, he's going to have a big-time job, right?
Yeah. Is he the one? Was he the Florida coach who was on the boat with the shark?
No, that was the guy who retired, Jim
McElwain.
McElwain.
Sorry. Okay. Either way. Wow. He's back. Interesting. We'll see how long it takes
for him.
See how long it takes him before he makes the jump from JMU, because apparently that's a factory.
It is Signetti, and then who just got hired from there?
I'm like on the
Who is that?
Just Chesney.
Oh yeah, Bob Chesney to UCLA. So there you go. It has been fun bringing you the Randy Karraker Show. We appreciate you being a part of it. And don't forget, we're with you pretty much every day at 3 o'clock. A lot of stuff dropping all the time on STL Sports Central. Sign up for the notifications. And as Rock said, you can follow him, get in touch with him on the Twitter. I'm at Randy Karraker on the Twitter machine as well. And we will see you next time on the Randy Karraker Show. We're presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours.